Hi all, welcome to our second episode of Duel Degenerates. In this series, we're going to learn about some of the dumbest decks we've seen in the history of Duel Links, how they worked, and where they are now. Let's get started. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about One Card Wonder Stall. In 2019, we got Colin Kessler in Duel Links. Actually, correction, we got Evil Colin Kessler in Duel Links. Evil Colin Kessler had a drop skill called One Card Wonder, where instead of starting with 4 cards in hand and drawing 1 card each turn, like a basic duelist, you could instead be quirky and unique by starting with 1 card in hand and drawing 2 cards every draw phase. Now, most decks couldn't really make use of this skill, since surviving one whole turn with only a single card was actually pretty hard, even back in 2019. However, some sadistic players realized that if you could get away with surviving at least a turn or two, you could use a 2-card draw power to create one of the most unkillable stall strategies in this game. Looking at a deck build from the Duel Links Meta website, you can see that gamers were using this skill for stall almost as soon as it came out. Cards like Obnoxious Celtic Guardian, Winged Karibo and Friends, and Defense Draw were used to help stall out those first couple of turns when you were still low on cards. Cards like Rainbow Life and Hollowed Life Barrier were used once you started to go up in card advantage, allowing you to discard a card to become virtually unkillable for a turn. But the card that really tied this whole thing together was the card Localized Tornado. Localized Tornado automatically shuffles your entire hand and graveyard back into your deck. This normally useless card previously only saw play in Surprise Present decks, in which you would give control of it to your opponent and hope they clicked on it by mistake. However, in One Card Wonder, the card could be used late game to reset your deck, effectively turning your 30-card stall deck into a 60-card stall deck. Different players would also run different stall strategies on top of this. Some players would run Burn, others would run Mill. However, some players would take the stalling to the next level by either running a second copy of Localized Tornado or Jar of Avarice. These would allow them to shuffle their first copy of Localized Tornado back into their deck to use again. Since the 2-card draw would allow them to quickly recover from the effects of it, players could loop these cards over and over, turning their 60-card stall decks into infinite card stall abominations. Between the battle damage negation, infinite deck, and the 2-card draw advantage, once this deck started to set up its stall wall, it was almost impossible to punch through. So, before we moved on, I just wanted to show you guys what this looked like. So this is what the deck looked like. I threw it together from a deck list I saw online. You're gonna notice that the deck, in its purest form, has no win condition. It just wouldn't die, it wouldn't deck out, and then you just ran out of cards naturally. It was horrible. On June 29th, 2021, One Card Wonder was hit during skill rebalancing. What Konami originally intended to be a cute and fun Infernity skill ended up being one of the most toxic stall skills in the game. The skill was patched up to its current version, which only allows the use of Infernity and Infernity-related cards, thus killing the deck. But even from the grave, the memories of 40-turn duels on ladder will haunt players for the rest of their lives. Thank you folks for watching, and if you'd like me to cover any other Degenerate decks, please leave them in the comments below.